So we got a lot in store for you guys today, but we're going to start out with, I think, the most interesting topic is where Julio Jones is going to end up. There's a lot of teams that he could go to.
Yeah. I think Patriots are probably the best bet. I think Baltimore is up there. I like the idea of the Titans getting him, but I don't think they have the capital to trade for it.
Yeah, they don't have the cap space to really trade for him because they only got like 3 mil, and Julio has like 23. Like he's going to be 23 million like hitting the cap. So that's a big number. The Titans can't really take that hit. That's a lot of cuts to make. But I mean, he would help them a lot, especially losing Corey Davis. So I think honestly, the Titans seem to make the most sense, but I don't think it's going to happen. Just the Titans don't really have the capital to get him, and there's a lot of other competition for him. Now, you also listed the Ravens and the Patriots, who are two teams that don't really, in my opinion, don't have like actual like passing offenses that he would want to be a part of.
I agree. I think the Patriots have been a run dominant team because of Belichick's coaching style.
Right.
But with the way they're kind of shaping in a new team, I think it would be the perfect time to, deload a couple picks. You have your core kind of
because they are in win now mode.
Yeah, you have your core signed for the next couple of years. You're just hopefully waiting on Mac Jones to develop. And Cam Newton, everyone kind of pooped on him last year, but he was coming into a new organization, a better structured organization with no off season. And
I was gonna say he just didn't have time.
Yeah, and he's developing for the first time in his life. He can't depend on his legs to get him to a first down or a touchdown. So he's kind of transitioning or trying to transition into a better pocket passer. And we'll see how that shapes out. But I think having Julio Jones would be big for that.
He would be huge for that team, especially a team that doesn't really have any good receivers. I mean, Aguilar's solid, Bourne's solid, but they can't be number one options on, a competitive team. So Julio would make sense. I think the Patriots, it's the question of whether they would give up a first-round pick, though, because I think that's what the Falcons are kind of looking for.
I heard some rumors they trade Sony Michel and a first-round pick next year for Julio in a fourth round or fifth round. Yeah. I'm not sure if I would be willing to give up a first-round pick, but I think for the sake of having Julio, I think a lot of teams would take that chance.
I mean, I know the Titans have already offered a first-round pick, and the Falcons, I don't think they're going to go to the, make the trade with the Titans. But, I mean, that's what's going to take to get Julio. And a lot of teams, I think they would be willing to give up a first round because when healthy, he's probably top 5, top 10 receiver in the league. It's just the question of, is he going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
I think that's the risk that every team is looking at.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age, and you're never sure how a season is going to affect an older player like that.
Right, and especially because he missed, it was 7 or 8 games last year. So that's a big warning sign for teams. But honestly, the only teams that can afford him that makes sense for him to be traded to is the 49ers. I mean, it makes sense, reuniting with Shanahan. He goes on a winning team. I know they weren't a winning team last year, but when they're healthy, they're a winning team. And he doesn't get the greatest quarterback, but he's the number one option. I mean, he's probably going to be the number one option anywhere he goes. But it's a great offense, and I think he would love it in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad if he went to San Francisco. I think that'd be a good way to finish out his career. Mm-hmm. I really do like the idea of the Patriots, not just because I'm a Patriots fan. I think he'd fit in very well with that offense. I think he'd like being under Bill Belichick in that kind of system where hard work is rewarded. Mm-hmm. And, again, the Ravens, I think it'd be good to get Lamar Jackson some help so they can – because I think they want to transition out of being a run-first offense.
Yeah, I mean, they did pick up a lot of receivers in the offseason, just to give Lamar Jackson some options, but – I feel like Julio might be frustrated on the Ravens because he might not be getting the same amount of yards he usually gets because Lamar Jackson, he's not going to throw 300 yards a game, but he's going to throw for 200 and rush for 100.
Yeah.
So I think he could have less target share, and I don't know if that's what he wants in Baltimore.
Well, I don't think a player like Julio, who's had so many accolades, is going to be as concerned about his personal stats. I think he's more worried about winning. and trying to finish out his career as a champion. I don't think he has another, 1,000, 1,200 yard season in him, but I think he has a solid.
You don't think he has an 1,000-yard season?
Maybe best case scenario is 1,000, but the guy's turning like 34 next season. Physicality is a big part of his game, and I don't know if that kind of thing.
I know, but he had like 900 yards last year, missing like half the games.
Did he?
Yeah,
900.
Yeah, it was like 875 or something like that. It was real close.
I mean, he's an animal. You never know.
And it's also partly it's because of the Falcons' offense that they have no run game, so they kind of have to throw all the time. And with the weapons they have, I don't blame. I would throw a lot too.
They had a great receiving duo.
Right. So whatever team he goes to, he's not going to get as many targets as he did on the Falcons. But like you said, he's more concerned about winning at this point in his career. So I think the 49ers have the best chances to get him. Whether he goes there or not, I'm not really sure. They did trade a first-round pick to move up to 3. Yeah. So they are kind of low on first-round picks anyway. So they might kind of second-guess that. But there's a big market for Julio. Teams are going to have to give up a decent amount to get him and, not be able to have him for long. But I think he'd be a great option on a team, and I think he'd make a lot of teams contenders or just division title favorites at this point, for sure. So we'll see what happens to Julio. He could be traded as early as next week, which honestly I think is going to happen because it's clear he obviously wants out, and there are many teams that have already offered them a first-round pick. So I think that's going to happen.